How Carlton reconnected with motherland. Carlton Duncan came to Tanzania for the first time, primarily for academic purposes. Nevertheless, the nation and all the memories it has given him have found a place in his heart. He recently sat down with Enganile Mawakyanjala for a walk down memory lane, reliving the experience that saw him visit places such as the Serengeti National Park, Ngorongoro Crater and almost all regions in the country. The dialogue is transcribed by Lillian Indilwa. Question: when did you first decide to travel to Africa? Answer: I had always wanted to visit the continent since I was a little boy. I wanted to reconnect with my history as an African in the diaspora and an African of Jamaican descent. Growing up in the South, I wanted to learn more about the slave trade triangle, and traveling to Africa guaranteed me this knowledge. National How Carlton reconnected with motherland. Friday, December 16, 2022. Summary: Carlton Duncan came to Tanzania for the first time primarily for academic purposes. Nevertheless, the nation and all the memories it has given him have found a place in his heart. He recently sat down with Enganile Mawakyanjala for a walk down memory lane, reliving the experience that saw him visit places such as the Serengeti National Park, Ngorongoro Crater and almost all regions in the country. The dialogue is transcribed by Lillian Indilwa. Question: when did you first decide to travel to Africa? Answer: I had always wanted to visit the continent since I was a little boy. I wanted to reconnect with my history as an African in the diaspora and an African of Jamaican descent. Growing up in the South, I wanted to learn more about the slave trade triangle, and traveling to Africa guaranteed me this knowledge. Related: why and how U.S. national fell in love with Tanzania. National December 16. Of all the countries on the continent, why did you choose to visit Tanzania? Tanzania was one of the options for me through school. I participated in a study program at Canisius College, which allowed me to travel to Tanzania. I was introduced to Walter Rodney, a scholar activist who has connections in Tanzania. When I read his book titled, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, which hints at the history of the coast, it inspired me to visit the country. Another reason is Mwalimu Nyerere. I have always been fond of him and his perspectives. How was your first time in Tanzania? It was amazing. We were not in a traditional setting because our classroom was mostly in the car on the road, and we were traveling from one city to the next. The journey felt intimate and gave us a closer look at Tanzania in its totality. We kept journals, and we wrote about every experience we had. What surprised you most about the country when you first visited? Just the natural beauty of it. It developed, but Tanzania has not practiced cultural suicide to fit into a foreign way of life. I like the way it balances modernity with the country's traditions. Did you ever go on a safari? If yes, how was it? Yes, I did. As a little boy, I used to watch a channel called Nova that showed the beauty of the world, and a lot of times they used to show the Serengeti National Park and Ngorongoro Crater, and these scenes made me fantasize about visiting these places. When I got the chance to actually do that, it was a dream come true. It was a life-changing experience. How was it life-changing? You can see anything on TV, but it will not hold as much meaning as when you come face to face with it. Not only is it mind-blowing, but it's a memory that stays with you forever. We have zoos in America, but the actual experience in the natural habitat is more exhilarating and feels different. What experience did you gain from your safaris? I got to connect with the Maasai as well as other groups living in the Serengeti. I met with some of them, and we developed cultural relations to the point where I was given a piece of Maasai clothing by one young man who was as excited to meet me as I was. I have had the piece of clothing since 2010. Being an African American, why do you think it is important to explore Africa? Traveling puts things into perspective. For us, traveling is a symbolic connection between us and our ancestors. It also gives us a sense of pride and self-worth. What other interesting experiences did you have in Tanzania? One thing about Tanzania is that when you think of Africa, you're going to get everything all at once. One can watch different kinds of birds singing in Iringa, climb Mount Kilimanjaro, or lay on a white sandy beach in Zanzibar. The country offers all these in its different regions. One could also get different kinds of cultural climates in one place, like in the Serengeti National Park, where I could be in a bathing suit one day and wear a jacket the next. What can you say about the country's food? If a person likes flavor-filled food, Tanzania is the place to be. There are so many spices that are single-handedly made in different parts, one of them being Zanzibar. In a way, these flavors are also connected to the histories of the communities that make them. When I either use or smell these spices, I think of Tanzania. Which Tanzanian foods did you enjoy? A lot, but mostly chips mayai with chicken, sambusa, goat meat, kitimoto, pilau, and ugali. If you were to advise a person traveling to Tanzania, what tips would you share? Support local businesses because they reveal the true essence of the place you have visited. It connects you to the people and the culture of the place more than any other thing. Eat local food, board the daladala, and the like. Since you've visited almost every region, which place has a special place in your heart? Morogoro. I will always remember it. I visited it and stopped to learn a little bit about Swahili.